How many times have you been watching TV and been watching the PGA Tour and you see them about 20 or 30 yards away from the green and they hit that one shot that kicks once on the green and then stops dead in its track right beside the hole? In this video, we're going to talk about how you can get that kind of spin to get your ball to stop by the hole and start making more birdies. Let's go and get started. All right, so there's four factors that go into creating a lot of spin with your wedges. And the first one is speed. We got to create a lot of speed to be able to get more friction between the club and the ball. And that's going to get a lot more backspin on there. As you go farther and farther out, if let's say you're making a full swing with a pitching wedge all the way back to a 3-iron, the harder you can swing, the more club head speed you can get, the more backspin you're going to be able to create. But today we're talking more of a little bit closer shots. And the next thing we're going to do that really depends on how much spin you're going to get is what's called the spin wedge. And basically what this means is if I have a golf ball on the ground here and I'm going to be swinging down and hitting this golf ball, my club is going to be coming slightly down and through the ball. So you can imagine the angle of attack that my club is moving down into contact before the ball was here would be slightly down. We're going to want that to be pretty shallow with all of our shots. One thing that people do a lot of times to try to get more spin on the ball is they put the ball way back in their stance and they start to chop down on it even more. And even though that will give you more a negative angle of attack, which is good, or which could be good to add spin, it's also de-lofting the club face, which is going to give you less spin. So the angle of attack is the first angle there in the spin wedge. The second angle is going to be the loft of the club. And the more loft that I can get, the bigger the gap between the angle of attack and the actual loft of the club at impact. So we want to always use, when we're trying to get the most spin possible, use our highest lofted club. In this case, I have a 60-degree wedge. And now you can imagine there's 60 degrees of loft on this club. I'm going to be swinging down, let's say -5 into the ball. So I'm actually swinging down and through at a -5 angle of attack. And my shaft is leaning forward, let's say 6-7 degrees. So the dynamic loft is maybe 52 degrees, -5 angle attack, and we're at 57 spin wedge. So the bigger you can make that number, the more spin you're going to get. So if we change that from a 60-degree wedge, which at impact the dynamic loft would be around 52 maybe. If we change that to a 3-iron, where now the dynamic loft may only be 16 or 17 degrees, that spin wedge is going from something like this to way, way tighter, and that's why you get a lot less spin with a 3-iron versus a 60-degree wedge. So that's the second piece, is the spin wedge. We want to get the biggest wedge we can. Always use a high lofted club. The third piece here is we got to get friction. We got to get this ball to grab onto the face as we're making contact. So anything that's on your face that gets in the way of grabbing that golf ball and getting the grooves on the golf ball is going to give you less friction and you're going to lose a lot of spin. So two things I recommend to always keep in your bag, or really need this if we want to spin the ball back. Keep a towel. I'll keep one half of this wet and I'll get all the dirt, everything out of the grooves. And then we also want to keep one of these little wire brushes and get every piece of dirt or anything that's in the grooves out of there and have a perfectly clean face. So any debris that's between your ball and the face is going to massively cut back on the backspin, especially when we're talking about water. So if the ground is wet, you make a couple practice swings and now the club face is soaking wet, go ahead and dry that off before you hit, because that'll cut down on your backspin probably 50% or so. The ball's just simply not going to check up. So always have a perfectly clean golf club, clean grooves, and then you're going to be ready to make the best contact that you can. And the last thing is going to be about hitting the ball dead center square in the face. Now we're not going to get into that in this video. That's going to be more your overall swing and your capability. And that's what we go into the Top Speed Golf system. So now let's go ahead and give you a few key checkpoints. I'm going to hit a few shots for you, demonstrate this, and we'll see if we can get those balls to check up. All right, so this is where the rubber meets the road. We're actually going to hit a couple shots here, and let's talk about some things that you want to focus on when you're actually making the motion itself. And as I mentioned before, one of the worst things you could do is put the ball way back in your stance, and you're going to chop down into this ball a little too steep. So even though you're lowering the angle of attack in your spin wedge, you're also taking loft off the club face when you're doing this. So you're really not increasing that gap. I want to have a nice, pretty shallow angle of attack, and I want to have absolutely the most loft that I can. And that difference in angle of attack and loft is going to get me a lot more spin. So I want to play the ball basically where I would in a stock shot or a normal shot. I want to play the ball off the logo of my shirt or my left ear. That way as I'm coming down, I can clip the ball first, and the bottom of my arc is going to be just in front of that, kind of on the inside of my left shoulder. So I don't want to play the ball way back in my stance. I'll also a lot of times what will happen is people will think that they need to really de-loft it and kind of pinch the ball. You hear that a lot. That may get you a little more spin. Again, if you hit it solid, get you some decent amount of spin. But I don't want to de-loft the club that much. I don't want to chop down and really pinch it like this, because it's going to come out too low and too hot and it won't check up on the green. I want to go ahead and be making contact with that ball and have a little bit of forward shaft lean, but again, I want to make sure that the maximum loft is on the club. I don't want to be taking all that loft off there. And then finally, as I'm coming through this ball, let's imagine I'm going to hit this direction. I want to imagine I'm getting maximum friction on there. So as I make contact, I want to visualize that that ball is staying on this face as long as I can down and through the shot. That way I make sure that I really go through the shot and get that good, solid, clean compression. I don't want to go ahead and start cutting across the ball, which would be a glancing blow. I want to come down and through as long as I can. So if I put those things together, let's go ahead and try a couple shots out here, and we'll see if I can get one of these to kind of land on the front of the green and just short of the hole, and then check up. So I got a couple balls here. Again, I'm focusing on really coming down and through, extending through this ball to make sure that I get that good solid contact and keep the ball in the face as long as I can. There we go, that should have good spin. A little long, but you can see the one hop and then stops there. Let me go ahead and try another one out. And again, the same thing, I'm coming through using the loft, and I'm driving, and I'm feeling like I'm staying through that shot, and I want to feel like this ball stays on the face 4 or 5 inches past contact. There we go, that one checked up right beside the hole. So keep the club coming through there, keep these grooves really, really clean, no water, no dirt. You're going to start spinning the ball better. Good luck to you guys. I'll see y'all soon. Okay, so we've addressed the problem of getting some spin on these shorter shots. What happens when you go out to your full swing? And as I mentioned before, the more club head speed you can create, the more backspin you're going to get. And I got a great bonus video for you guys. I'm going to talk about how to create more lag in your downswing so you can ramp up your speed. Not only are you going to hit it farther, you're going to get more backspin on your full shots too. So that video is going to pop up here in a second. Click the link that pops up on your screen or down below in the description. You'll get that absolutely free of charge. Plus you'll get 5 videos from our Top Speed Golf system. It's going to walk you through all aspects of the swing so you can play better from tee to green. So good luck to you guys, and I'll see you all in that lag video. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see. And in this drill, what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position. Exact same thing happens when we're building the lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, you look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be. I want to use the full length of this club to build lag and then release lag.